Hello?
Hi, WMBD Newsroom. How may I help you?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Zachary Hart. I'm one of the alleged escapees, and I didn't know if there was anything that you guys wanted to know.
Hi, Zachary. So this is Shelby Roberts. I just wanted to give you a heads up that we're recording the phone call. Well, tell us a little bit more.
Hi, Shelby.
We were able to talk to Cody and Jesse yesterday. I didn't know if you were around and heard any of that. But yeah, if you've got some time, we'd love to hear your side of this story. Tell me what happened leading up to what police were saying was your arrest. It was your escape and then arrest.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sure. I was saying we were able to talk to Cody and Jesse yesterday, but tell me what happened leading up to your escape and then recapture.
Honestly, I covered a lot of ground on foot. It was kind of almost like they were letting us go. It was pretty odd, to be quite honest, how we were released, and there was literally every door was wide open, and I don't know. I covered a lot of ground. I stayed in the woods for the majority of the time. There was a lot of pressure on my family, and I wrote a letter basically stating that I wasn't going to be taken alive, type of deal. And it wasn't in a roundabout. That's what it said, because I felt like I was wrongfully imprisoned to begin with. I had an excessive bond that I couldn't reach. I had attempted to bond out a couple of times, but it was, I think, $26,000. I don't know. It was for an alleged gun charge that happened in January, I think. I was currently in Kentucky and brought back up here. But anyway, I wrote a letter to my family telling them, I love them very much, that, I wish things would have been differently. However, this is the hand that was dealt. Yeah, I spent a lot of times in the woods, that's for sure. It was pretty nasty. I couldn't even make a fire. I had a lighter and everything. I couldn't make a fire because everything was pretty wet. But there was a video of me actually the day before, the evening before I was arrested. Me walking past the house, and the gentleman's dogs came out and started barking at me, and he was apologizing for his dogs. He was letting me know that, their bark's worse than their bite. I said, hey, man, me too. I'm kind of the same way. And I said, hey, could I get a ride? And he asked what I was doing out there. I told him that my car had broke down, and then he started kind of, putting two and two together. He's like, what are you doing out here all by yourself? And he said, are you the one that everybody's looking for? I said, what do you think, man? And he said, do you mind if I get a video of you? And I said, well, yeah, I do mind, and he took a video anyway. And I said, man, listen, I'm not armed. I'm not dangerous. This isn't like the public thinks. I thought that there was a plan to, and I know this sounds far-fetched, however, I thought that there was a plan for us to be released so they could say that we were armed and dangerous so we could be shot on sight. That's honestly what I thought. And that's why I was so scared, to be honest. But then the gentleman posted the value. I told him, I said, man, I'm not armed, I'm not dangerous. I need a ride. And basically begged him, and he declined and went back inside. And then the police were called, and I hid in some grass. It was like ankle-high grass. I laid down, and then I swam across the lake, and I stood in the cornfield for about 14 hours, and I started thinking, it had been a few days since I had ate. I was cold, I was wet, I was hungry, I was alone. I started thinking, it was mentally defeating after a while, and I just started making irrational decisions. I I kept thinking, you know what, if I wait till daylight, I'll be just fine. And I started walking through a town called Cuba, and I went to the railroad tracks to walk the railroad tracks back to Canton. And I had no idea, to be honest, why I was going that way. I wasn't trying. That's the other thing. Everybody thought I had left state until they received this letter. But I don't know. And then I was arrested. I kept reaching at my waist and into my hoodie pockets. I kept turning my back to the police. I had a lake in front of me, and it's an old strip line pond next to a town called Weematug. There's a lot of corruption here in our judicial system, and the police. They use fear tactics to make their county seem as dangerous as possible, to get more funding, to get bigger courtrooms and bigger jails and more police. It's pretty disgusting, to be honest, because all they're looking for at the state's attorney's office is a higher conviction rate, the highest conviction rate, to receive that money, to make it look as dangerous as possible. And now they're passing laws to attempt to stop that, because the mass incarceration is ridiculous. I mean, I think the United States leads the world. The United States population is 15% of the world's population. However, we create 25% of the men's prison population. It's pretty disgusting, to be honest. But I thought about jumping in this lake whenever the police were there. And there was a gentleman I'm really good friends with. His name's Preston Harris. He was the officer. He kept yelling because he had been in contact with my grandmother and mother the entire time. And they knew that I wasn't armed and dangerous. He knew, but he kept yelling, he's not armed, he's not armed. But I kept reaching at my waist and my hoodie pocket, and then I thought about jumping in the lake, but this is probably a 50-foot or 100-foot lake. It's, like I said, an old strip mine lake, and I was probably so exhausted that I would have just sank, and I just didn't want to drown. Feels like I'm drowning, while I was here. I didn't want to have that same feeling in death, I guess.
So you had mentioned the letter when you were writing. So had you planned on escaping regardless, or I'm not understanding how that came into play?
I wrote a letter after I was released by the jail. I didn't write anything here. My family has a church, and I ran to that church, and I broke into the church. I didn't do it forcefully or anything. I just, I know how to get in there. And I left a letter at the church for my family. Basically, because I hadn't used any phones. I didn't use a phone. I didn't try to make contact with anybody. I didn't want anybody to be in trouble as a result of me.
Which church was that? Which church was that?
I'm not sure if my family has it or if they turned it over to the police, but yeah. There was no plan, ma'am. There was absolutely no plan. We were in a cell for less than 24 hours that led to backdoor access, basically. It was, like I said, it was like we were released.
Which church was the one you said you visited on the way?
Senate Chapel. It's on Senate Chapel Road. It's actually a historical landmark. It was built in 1884, and my grandma restored it.
So, Zachary, I mean, one of the other things I did ask Cody as well earlier, why not just stay, though? I can understand there was some questions, obviously, when you had an easy access point to leave, but why not just remain until you got clarification if you thought there was really a mistake?
I actually contemplated that. I was recently injured here at the jail by something else that was defective. A cable had come unbolted from the ground apparently months prior of my coming to this jail, and it fell on me, and I fractured my clavicle, and I also had an AC separation where it tore the ligament from my shoulder. And I I set myself for probably 20 minutes after the other gentleman had left, and I warred with myself. Whether it was just a steady debate, and I kept thinking, if I stay here, I'm going to be mad that I didn't leave. And like I said, it was probably 20 minutes after the other gentleman had been released. I decided to leave myself, and I don't know. It was just a casual walk down the road. It was like I don't know. I think it was because that I don't know. That's a good question.
Well, and you can also imagine, I mean, there were a lot of people that were very scared when the police sent out the warning. I mean, what do you respond to that?
People, I mean, that's just what they do. The judicial system and then this sheriff's department, they use fear tactics. They scare us all the time. They let us know that, hey, if you take this to trial, we're going to slam you with the maximum sentence possible. Well, they're going to make us look like terrible people, because they want public help and turning us in. I think I stayed out maybe 5 days, and I'm not sure if you saw from the video. I was pretty terrified when I saw the gentleman. I wasn't. Excuse me. Let me rephrase. I wasn't terrified, but I was scared to death to even ask this guy for anything. And then he kind of just real smug. He didn't look too scared to me. But I understand. We were considered armed and dangerous. I showed up in my boxers. Just covered in mud and I was scared myself. I was scared I was going to be shot. I think that that's also, they were trying to put fear into people so they would use their weapons as well. There was comments on Facebook talking about how they were locked and loaded in case I was seen. That's what I believe their intentions were, like I said, to have me shot. So I figured I'd help them out, and I'd say that I wasn't going to be taken alive anyway. I let my family know that, and they got scared themselves for me, and decided to let the police know where I was at.
So there may be people, Zachary, that hear this that say you're blaming your crimes on someone else.
This call will be terminated in 2 minutes.
That may feel that there may be people that hear this that say or feel that you're not taking accountability for your actions. What's your response to that?
Accountability for my actions? What do you mean? I just said we were released. I don't understand how they wouldn't think that the jail's not at fault, period.
So when you say, I'm not understanding. So the toilet falling, or tell me what you mean by released.
We were given access to a back door, period. That's what happened. Every door was unlocked and left open.
Did anyone inside help you?
This call will be terminated in 1 minute.
No, ma'am. Not that I know of, other than all the doors being unlocked. So, maybe the sheriff, he might have helped us. Or the maintenance man. I'm not exactly sure.
So, but Zachary, sorry, before we go...
The door was open when I walked out.
So what is your hope with sharing your side of things?
I'm not sure. Just want people to know that we weren't dangerous. We weren't trying to scare anybody. We weren't trying to commit other crimes. I was just trying to see my children. I wanted to see my kids and give them a hug. And we weren't armed. Yeah, none of that.
Well, Zachary, thank you for sharing your side of things.
Yes, ma'am. You have a good rest of your night.
And spell your name for me one more time.